What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's trade recap / market analysis session for today, April the 24th. So, today we were able to take one nice trade with a 3.31 risk to reward with a pretty tight stop on NQ being only around 90 ticks. So, I'm pretty happy about the understanding for the trade which we took right here, and let's dive straight into what are the factors that made me take this trade, the characteristics of the market today, and we'll also do some footprint analysis and set up some outcomes for tomorrow. So looking on NQ prior to our trade, right? So let's mark that up right here. Prior to our trade, we marked out, pardon me. Prior to our trade, we marked out all our key liquidity levels and levels in general, and we had these are very key levels for the future of the market as well. If 5500 holds, then we can move down again. But if it doesn't, we can go up. It's a key area that price has been seeking prior to this time. But looking on the volume profile, our point of control still is below, and before it was even lower, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was around the gap fill area. But we do have high volume nodes around these key levels up at the highs as well. So targeting these levels above could also be a decent shot, but we just have to trade with where momentum and the overall trend is taking us. That's just some overall context for the market. We did have a gap fill here, which we did tap into a little bit before we made our move, but right when market opened, we saw very strong buying pressure. Now, if we go on to ES, it's essentially the same with all our levels. We did have an additional demand zone down below with our POC being around gap fill, but still, if you look at it, we do have high volume nodes around these areas, matching with the 5500 level as well. And same with NQ. On ES, we saw heavy buying pressure coming right after market open. We at V2, what we're doing is we're just waiting to see if we can find a decent entry to catch a piece of this move towards the upside. So what we saw was this right here. At 9:10 or 9:15, we had news at 9, I believe. And after the 5-minute interval from 9:05, we could trade after 9:05 and trade before 8:55. But we took this trade after our 5-minute interval, which is good. And what we saw in this trade was mostly demonstrated by bookmap. So if you just simply go back on the bookmap right here, take a look. Nah, it was even after this. We started coming down, and as you can see, there was a barrier here. It was a micro barrier, but this barrier did seem to have heavy value within the market context as well. I'm waiting to see if this barrier shows acceptance, and if this barrier does show acceptance, you can definitely use it as a pivot point towards the upside. So right now it does look like the area is getting taken. If we look on the tape as well, look at all these buy orders coming in with aggression as compared to sell orders. It definitely looks like those sellers are getting absorbed. And another characteristic of that is, take a look at this red bubble right here. Just look at how it gets absorbed, and we start seeing bars come in followed by the tape as well. Do you see that? Did you catch that? Now, this right there, that's a pretty key signal, but we're still waiting. Things like this could happen, and price could still continue towards the downside. So we wait until further confirmation, which we see when we start moving up a bit more. Now, our first target would be 5450, 5450 level, but our stop is very tight, right below this barrier, and we are targeting these highs. So that would have accounted for around it would have been a decent 1-to-1 ish play if you targeted the 450 levels. But we only take that level if we don't break through and if we show invalidations at that level. If we start holding passively at that level for a very long time, it would be more safe to exit. But our original target is going to be that 5500 level, which has shown significance on Bookmap as well, standing as our main magnet for the day for price to head towards. And we just hold and we see price actually break through this level with strength. And then we start seeing these mini barriers start to form. But we do break through all of them with nice confidence, and even when we start pausing for a bit, barriers get introduced right away, which we use as fuel to go towards the upside. Even at this more impactful one, we just push through it pretty nicely. Now here is where my entry does come along a little bit. Right here, we saw us enter into that 5480 level. We created a large amount of buyers right at the top near that level. But the buyers were not able to continue price to go higher and sweep this level. So we start moving downwards with heavy seller volume. Now, this already should have been a signal for me to exit, but I did not exit because just with the momentum, I wanted price to continue to go higher, but you should never want, the price will not give you what you want. It will just do whatever it wants. So where we actually exited was right here, literally exactly right there. We exited right there, and why did we exit there? We saw this micro barrier start to form, and we started pushing through it. And even with light seller volume, we are still pushing through it. Buyers are not holding as we would like it to be. So we exit around this level, and our exit was decent, but could have been better if exited around this area. But that's something to improve on. The overall context and exit was good because we found more confidence and confirmation on invalidation here. Now, if we move forward, we actually exited right before a big break towards the downside, which led us down here. Now, let's take a look into the footprint factors that allowed this trade to work out so nicely. So let's head on to the footprint charts for ES. So as you can see, this is the footprint chart right here. If we head to the time of our entry, which is around 9:15 area, this candle, just take a look at what we saw in this selling candle right here. Look here, we saw a large seller delta amount carry inside this candle, but price still continued upwards. And then price started dropping down. Now, if you take a look at this candle right here, at the lows of this candle, what do you notice? You notice a large amounts of seller delta that is pretty significant. But is the candlestick representing that? Not really. It's actually showing us that these sellers were likely getting absorbed by passive buyers within the market. And additional confirmation for that is simply because of the barrier that was held there. So that barrier did have nice action at that location, and the fact that the price wicked up so much from that level was great confirmation for that as well. So our entry was actually really good. Our entry was really good on NQ, On ES, it was around 443-ish area. So it's around this area, and we started seeing price dip down again. But since we saw the absorption prior, it was a good entry level for us to enter in. And it held nice significance within the market, and this absorption gave us confidence, which continued to push the price higher. And as you can see, even in these upwards candles, we're starting to see red delta, which is not getting held at all. All this move to the upside is stopping all these sellers, helping price move higher and higher. Now, finally, at these highs right here, when we started seeing the big buy orders get essentially absorbed on bookmap, as we saw prior, where the optimal exit was. Now on footprint, we don't see too much that depicts the optimal exit at those levels, but what we do see is that we do have decent amount of buying delta up near the top, and we're trading with less volume up near the top as well. We're trading with most of the volume up here, and buyers are finding less strength up near the top. Additionally, we do have a decent amount of buyer delta that isn't getting rewarded within the candle. So this could have been a mini indication of the drop towards the downside, but the main indication would actually just be the move down and what we saw in bookmap. But this footprint context can provide us even more data. Now, if you go back onto the charts, I marked out 2 more additional potential pivot point areas which I determined on bookmap, and let's look over those as well. So right at this level, we saw price enter into a barrier at 945, which should have been right around these 2 levels, right? We saw this first barrier break right here. So we actually did not enter long here because since this first barrier break, we're thinking, why wouldn't this barrier break as well? So we're just waiting to see how we would react at these levels. If we had footprint there, it may potentially have been easier to understand, is what I'm guessing, but there was not much on the footprint at all. If we saw a large green delta here at the bottom, and then we started pushing up, or essentially, actually no, if we saw a larger red delta at the bottom, but price wicked up like this, that would have been a key indicator to entry, but we did not see that. We did see red at the below, but footprint did not give us as much of an edge, providing us to enter at those levels. But if you check out this level right here at around 10, if we go to that time on bookmap, take a look at what we see here. We do see this area being the POC and a micro barrier being there. Now, simply from this level right here, you can already make a decent 1 to 2 scalp targeting this liquidity level above here if you are a decent scalper. But I personally think that if this level holds and we see footprint confirmation, we could go up to here at minimum. If we break this, continue moving higher. And if you look on the footprint at around those times, (10 a.m.), we start seeing seller delta come in heavy action right at this candle. But in the next candle, we start moving down, and we see that seller delta is still coming in, but we cannot continue to push lower. So if we see a nice breakout from this level moving upwards, that could definitely provide indication for the longs. Now, sellers got in there and at the lows of this candle, but we're not getting rewarded, which provided with confidence that you likely could have taken additional longs here at those levels at 10:05 a.m. Now on NQ, the structure would have been much better for the longs, but it does seem to work out on ES as well. But main confluence that occurred on footprint as well was there on this chart, and it was good that we're patient to get an entry there. Now that we've done all of that, let's do some quick analysis and set up a few outcomes for tomorrow using what we can see, right? Let's first mark out a quick volume profile to get some additional context. As you can see, our highest volume area is near these highs right here. This level was very important. This was prior to all this selling movement which we had. And we do have additional volume near these highs. So this level right up here alongside these levels around here are very, very, very important. And additionally, take a look at this level being in a low volume node, right? If we don't start seeing price accumulate volume at this level and create volume, we can either start to reverse at this level or move up, because these highs are a key imbalance above level, right? If we break this with strength, momentum can carry us to POC or all the way up to these highs right here. So simply with the momentum that we have been seeing, I may want to prefer longs, but a retracement prior to that could definitely be a great option as well. But that's what I'm seeing for that outcome, or I'm seeing a bigger retracement down to here. Now, if you look on NQ, yeah, so if you look on NQ, I'm going to do the same thing. Now, NQ does differ a little bit, right? Because our POC is actually below. So this would be the case where we see divergence between our point of controls. We placed our point of control at March 6th. It is before, so we might want to extend it a bit. Yeah, so it actually does line up pretty nicely. We have high volume up near these highs as well. Same with these highs. Same like ES, but we also have a high volume node right here. And we are in a level right there as well. So I'm essentially seeing the same thing, but now we have a more clear idea that if we go towards the downside, we can head around these levels down there. But if we don't, we can move down and move towards the upside. So those are our two outcomes. It's definitely down or up from this area, and this key level right here is a very important level, and that I'll mark it gold as well, so it's easy for you guys to understand. Yellow level is key. And at this level, we see price potentially retrace and make a move higher to our higher time frame point of controls and high volume nodes. We could also just see the majority of tomorrow working to balance market out by retracing to the lower high volume node, which is right here. So to make it easier for you guys to just see, I'm gonna make this solid, and I'm gonna make this solid as well. And I'm gonna write lower high volume node, and then that would be upper. This would be your point of control. So this is essentially what I'm seeing with our preferable outcomes here today. And let's just take a look at the VIX as well really quickly. Just with the momentum on the VIX, we could definitely see continuation towards the upside, but I don't see much of an edge on the VIX either because we easily could retrace before we come down as well. So for me, for like the next week or so, I'm expecting price to potentially move higher if we don't break structure towards the downside. But if we retrace and then move higher, I'm completely fine with that. And if we move down and break structure, I'm also completely fine with that because that works with our retracement idea that we've had as well, just with the addition of additional break of structure in which we can enter further shorts. But that's essentially all the market analysis which I really have and preferable outcomes which I have here for tomorrow. I do think that is pretty much it for this video. We've done some chart analysis. We've gone over this 1 to 3 or 3.33 3.31 risk reward trade which I've taken with a pretty tight stop using footprint analysis on top of that as well, and additional footprint scenarios. Additionally, we did set up our preferred outcomes from tomorrow as well, and that's essentially all I have here for today. If you have any questions regarding any of these concepts, please leave a comment down below or join the Discord. The link will be in the description. Additionally, I highly recommend you guys to go check out the crash course on our YouTube channel. It's a 10 episode in-depth crash course that can help you succeed and give you more of a guideline, and it's completely free. That's all I have here for today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next market recap, trade recap, and analysis video. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.